At the edge of a still pond where the boundary between air and water seems soft and negotiable, the surface itself becomes a habitat. To most animals, this boundary is a trap or a risk, a place where footing disappears and gravity wins. But here, stretched across the reflective skin of the water like a system of invisible streets, lives the water strider. It does not swim, and it does not truly float. It walks on a surface that behaves like a solid, only because physics allows it to pretend. The water strider's world is defined by surface tension, a force born from the mutual attraction between water molecules. Each molecule pulls on its neighbors, creating a taut, elastic film at the surface that resists penetration. For rain, this tension breaks easily, collapsing into ripples. For a falling leaf, it bends and yields. But for the water strider, surface tension is not a fragile membrane. It is a living floor, strong enough to carry a hunter that has evolved to respect its limits with surgical precision. Every step is calibrated, every movement tuned to avoid puncturing the skin that holds the insect above a drowning fate. The illusion of solidity begins at the legs. A water strider's legs are long, slender, and dramatically extended outward, giving the animal a wide stance that distributes its mass across multiple contact points. This distribution is not aesthetic, it is survival. The insect's weight is spread so thinly across the water's surface that no single point experiences enough force to break through. Yet weight alone does not explain the miracle. The true interface between insect and water exists at a microscopic scale, where biology and physics interlock. Each leg is coated in dense forests of microscopic hairs, angled and grooved in ways that repel water. These hairs trap tiny pockets of air, creating a barrier between the leg and the liquid below. When a leg touches the surface, it does not wet it. Instead, it presses gently downward, dimpling the surface tension without piercing it. The water curves beneath each leg, forming shallow depressions like thumbprints pressed into elastic glass. From above, these dimples are subtle. From the insect's perspective, they are footholds. This interaction transforms the surface into a responsive platform. The water does not behave like a rigid plane, nor like a fluid that gives way instantly. It behaves like something in between, a stretched membrane that pushes back. The water strider moves by exploiting this resistance, pushing backward against the surface to propel itself forward. Each stroke is a controlled transfer of momentum, a negotiation with a force that exists only at the boundary between states of matter. To watch a water strider skate across a pond is to witness motion without waves. The insect glides in smooth, deliberate bursts, accelerating and decelerating with little visible disturbance. This is not accidental. Breaking the surface would cost energy and invite danger. Predators below rely on vibrations to locate prey, and predators above look for ripples as signs of life. By minimizing disturbance, the water strider becomes a ghost on the water, present but difficult to detect. The mechanics of this movement are precise. The middle pair of legs act as oars, pushing backward against the surface tension to generate thrust. The front legs serve as sensors and stabilizers, probing the surface and adjusting balance in real time. The rear legs trail behind, acting as rudders that fine-tune direction. Together they form a distributed locomotion system that treats the water's surface not as an obstacle, but as infrastructure. This skating behavior depends on more than structure. It depends on restraint. The water strider cannot move carelessly. A sudden downward force, an unbalanced landing, or a misjudged turn could pierce the surface and trap the insect in the water below, where its lightweight body becomes a liability rather than an advantage. Evolution has shaped not only its anatomy, but its instincts. Movements are smooth, controlled, and economical. The insect rarely jumps straight upward or drops heavily. It glides, pivots, and slides, always maintaining the delicate balance required to stay above the surface. The environment reinforces this discipline. The water strider's habitat is a mosaic of threats and opportunities layered across vertical space. Below the surface, fish and aquatic insects patrol the depths, sensitive to vibrations and shadows. Above, birds and amphibians scan for silhouettes against the reflective water. The surface itself becomes a refuge precisely because it is difficult to use. By mastering this narrow zone, the water strider occupies a space with reduced competition, feeding on insects that fall onto the water or emerge at the surface, exploiting a food source that is abundant but fleeting. Surface tension, then, is not just a physical phenomenon. It is an ecological filter. Only organisms with the right combination of size, mass, structure, and behavior can use it as a platform. For the water strider, this filter has shaped every aspect of its biology. Its lightweight body reduces the force exerted on the surface. Its elongated legs increase leverage and distribute pressure. Its hydrophobic hairs maintain the integrity of the air barrier. Even its posture, with legs splayed wide and body held above the surface, reflects a life spent negotiating with an invisible flaw. In calm conditions, this system works flawlessly. But the surface is not always stable. Wind distorts it. Rain fractures it. Waves from larger animals passing through the water send oscillations across the membrane. The water strider responds not by resisting these changes, but by adapting to them. Its legs absorb motion, flexing and adjusting to maintain balance. When waves become too large, it retreats to sheltered areas, reading the surface not just as a place to stand, but as a dynamic map of environmental conditions. This sensitivity turns the water strider into a living sensor. Changes in surface tension can signal pollution, temperature shifts, or the presence of surfactants that weaken molecular bonds. In degraded environments, the insect struggles to move, its once reliable floor becoming unreliable. In this way, the water strider becomes an indicator of ecosystem health, its success tied directly to the integrity of the water's surface chemistry. The metaphor of invisible glass is tempting but incomplete. Glass is rigid and indifferent. The surface tension beneath the water strider is alive with motion, constantly forming and reforming as molecules pull against one another. The insect does not conquer this surface. It cooperates with it. Each step is a compromise, each glide a temporary agreement between biology and physics. The water holds the insect up not because it must, but because the insect has learned how to ask without demanding too much. Seen from a distance, the water strider appears effortless, almost casual in its movement. But this ease is the product of relentless evolutionary refinement. Countless generations have tested the limits of surface tension, with failure measured in drowning. What remains is a design that treats an abstract physical force as solid ground. The pond's surface becomes a city of invisible streets, and the water strider moves through it with confidence, skating across a boundary that was never meant to be walked on. The air above a wetland is never empty. Even when it appears still, it is layered with currents, thermals, and invisible traffic lanes carved by heat, wind, and terrain. In this three-dimensional space, survival belongs to those who can read motion faster than thought and respond without hesitation. Cutting through this aerial environment with absolute authority is the Scarlet Dragonfly, an organism engineered not for endurance or migration, but for dominance in short, violent bursts of flight, where mistakes last less than a heartbeat. From a distance, the Scarlet Dragonfly looks almost ornamental, its red body flashing briefly as it patrols above reeds and open water. But this brightness is not decoration. It is a signal written in muscle and confidence. This insect does not hide. It controls. Its territory is not a patch of ground or a nest, but a volume of air. And within that space it operates like a living interceptor, accelerating, braking, and pivoting with a level of precision that turns the sky into a controlled environment rather than an open risk. The first impression, when viewed closely, is the head. It is dominated almost entirely by eyes, vast compound structures that curve around the face until only a narrow strip of exoskeleton remains visible between them. These eyes are not passive windows. They are computational organs, built to process motion at extraordinary speed. Each compound eye contains thousands of individual visual units, each sampling light from a slightly different angle. Together, they create a panoramic view that approaches full coverage of the surrounding airspace, leaving almost no blind spots. For a predator that hunts on the wing, this is not luxury. It is necessity. In flight, prey does not appear as a detailed object. It appears as movement, a deviation from background flow. The Scarlet Dragonfly's visual system is tuned to detect these deviations instantly. Small insects crossing its patrol zone are registered not as shapes, but as vectors, trajectories that can be predicted and intercepted. This predictive capacity is one of the dragonfly's most remarkable adaptations. Rather than chasing prey reactively, it calculates where the prey will be and moves there directly, cutting interception angles with ruthless efficiency. The hunt is often over before the prey has registered the presence of a threat. This level of aerial control begins in the thorax, the muscular engine that powers the dragonfly's 4 wings. Unlike many insects whose wings are linked and move together, the dragonfly operates each wing independently. This independence allows for an astonishing range of flight modes. It can hover in place, surge forward with explosive acceleration, brake almost instantly, or pivot around its own centerline without losing altitude. These maneuvers are not improvised. They are biomechanically encoded, the result of muscles arranged not just for strength, but for fine control. Acceleration is the dragonfly's opening move. When prey enters range, the insect launches forward in a burst driven by rapid wing beats that push air downward and backward in complex patterns. The wings do not simply flap. They twist, angle, and phase their movements to maximize lift and thrust simultaneously. This produces a sudden forward surge that can outpace the escape response of most flying insects. The acceleration feels abrupt even to the dragonfly, a moment where inertia is overwhelmed by muscle and coordination. But speed alone is useless without control. The moment after acceleration is where many predators fail, overshooting their target or losing stability. The Scarlet Dragonfly solves this with braking ability that borders on the absurd. By altering the angle of its wings and shifting the timing of their strokes, it can generate drag almost instantly, shedding speed without stalling. The air, which moments ago was a medium for propulsion, becomes a cushion against momentum. This allows the dragonfly to approach prey aggressively, then slow to match its movement with surgical precision. Precision turns are the signature of this predator. Insects fleeing a dragonfly often attempt evasive maneuvers, sharp changes in direction meant to break pursuit. For many aerial hunters, these maneuvers create momentary confusion. For the dragonfly, they are invitations. Independent wing control allows it to roll, yaw, and pitch in combinations that defy simple flight paths. It can bank sharply without losing altitude, reverse direction in a tight arc, or execute a rapid vertical climb followed by a dive, all while keeping its eyes locked on the target. These turns are guided not only by vision, but by reflex loops that bypass conscious processing. Sensory input from the eyes feeds directly into motor circuits, producing immediate adjustments in wing motion. This minimizes delay, allowing the dragonfly to respond faster than prey can adapt. In evolutionary terms, this speed has been selected ruthlessly. Any lag between perception and action would be fatal, not because the dragonfly would starve, but because it would collide, lose control, or expose itself to predators during a failed maneuver. Hunting on the wing is energy-intensive, but it is also efficient in a different way. The Scarlet Dragonfly does not waste time. It patrols actively, scanning its airspace for opportunities, but when prey appears, the engagement is brief. The prey is captured mid-air, often in a basket formed by the dragonfly's legs, and consumed either in flight or at a nearby perch. This rapid turnover allows the insect to maintain high energy intake without prolonged chases, conserving resources while dominating the local insect population. The ecological impact of this hunting style is significant. Dragonflies regulate populations of smaller flying insects, including species that breed in water and emerge in massive numbers. By hunting above wetlands, ponds, and slow-moving streams, the Scarlet Dragonfly acts as a control mechanism, linking aquatic and aerial ecosystems. The insects it consumes spent their larval stages underwater, feeding on other organisms before emerging into the air. The dragonfly intercepts this energy transfer, redirecting it into its own metabolism, and eventually back into the ecosystem through reproduction and death. The eyes that dominate the dragonfly's head are not only large, but specialized. Certain regions are tuned for high-resolution forward vision, critical for tracking prey during pursuit. Other regions prioritize motion detection across wide angles, providing early warning of threats and competitors. This division of labor within the visual field allows the dragonfly to hunt and defend simultaneously. Rival dragonflies entering its patrol zone are detected instantly, often resulting in high-speed aerial confrontations that resemble dogfights more than simple chases. These confrontations reveal another layer of aerial control. Territorial disputes are resolved through displays of speed and maneuverability rather than direct combat. By out-accelerating or out-turning a rival, a dragonfly demonstrates control over the shared airspace. The scarlet coloration intensifies in sunlight, making these displays visible at a distance. The message is unambiguous. This volume of air is already claimed by an organism capable of dominating it. Underlying all of this is muscle physiology optimized for rapid contraction and endurance over short durations. Dragonfly flight muscles are supplied with oxygen efficiently, supported by a tracheal system that delivers air directly to tissues without relying on circulation alone. This allows sustained high-intensity flight without rapid fatigue. Thermoregulation plays a role as well. By basking in sunlight, the dragonfly elevates its body temperature, improving muscle performance and reaction speed. Warmth becomes fuel, turning solar energy into kinetic dominance. To call the scarlet dragonfly a fighter jet is not metaphorical exaggeration. Like a jet, it is designed around a specific purpose: control of airspace through speed, maneuverability, and superior sensory input. But unlike machines, its design is not the product of intention. It is the residue of selection, refined across millions of years, where every failure meant removal from the gene pool. What remains is a predator that turns air into a predictable medium, bending its chaos into lines of pursuit and interception. When the dragonfly hovers, wings beating in a blur, eyes scanning, it is not resting. It is calculating. The sky around it is a map of probabilities, each moving speck a potential target, each shift in wind a variable to be accounted for. Then, without warning, it launches, a red streak slicing through space, executing a sequence of movements too fast for the human eye to pass individually. The hunt ends where it began, in the air, leaving behind only a brief disturbance and the unsettling realization that, for some creatures, the sky is not freedom. It is territory. The first sign of a carpenter bee's presence is not visual. It is a sound, a low, resonant vibration that seems to come from inside the wood itself. It is not the frantic buzz of a panicked insect, nor the high-pitched whine of wings in flight. It is deeper, steadier, almost mechanical, as if a hidden motor has come alive inside a beam or fence post. In warm light, near the exposed grain of untreated wood, the carpenter bee reveals itself not as a garden ornament or a clumsy pollinator, but as a precise, patient excavator operating with tools grown from muscle and nerve. The ecosystem the carpenter bee occupies is deceptively simple. Sunlit structures, dead trees, wooden eaves, and fallen branches form a landscape of potential shelter. Unlike social bees that rely on shared hives or wax-built architecture, carpenter bees choose solitude and permanence. Their nesting strategy is rooted in modification rather than construction. They do not gather materials to build a home. They transform what already exists. Wood becomes substrate, obstacle, and refuge all at once. The act of drilling into wood is where the illusion of softness ends. Wood is not forgiving. Its fibers resist compression, splinter under stress, and absorb energy meant to fracture them. For a small insect, penetrating this material requires more than persistence. It requires force delivered efficiently, repeatedly, and without catastrophic wear to the body. The carpenter bee's solution is a biological drilling system built around vibration and leverage rather than brute pressure alone. At the front of the bee's head are mandibles that appear unremarkable until they begin to work. These jaws are short, thick, and reinforced, designed not for slicing leaves or manipulating wax, but for grinding and gouging. When the bee begins excavation, it does not simply chew forward. It anchors its body against the wood and activates its flight muscles without taking off. This produces intense vibrations that travel through the head and into the mandibles, turning them into oscillating chisels. Each contact with the wood loosens fibers, fractures grain boundaries, and converts solid material into fine sawdust. The vibration is key. Static pressure would be inefficient and exhausting. By vibrating its mandibles rapidly, the carpenter bee reduces the effective resistance of the wood, exploiting microscopic weaknesses in the grain. This method mirrors human drilling techniques more than chewing. The bee is not tearing wood apart piece by piece. It is weakening it through repeated, high-frequency impacts that accumulate damage faster than the material can dissipate it. Jaw strength supports this process, but it is not the sole driver. The carpenter bee's entire body participates. The thorax, packed with powerful muscles normally used for flight, becomes an engine for excavation. These muscles contract in controlled patterns, transferring energy forward while the legs brace against the surface. The bee's posture during drilling is deliberate and stable, minimizing energy loss and preventing slips that could damage delicate structures. Over time, this coordination allows the insect to carve clean, rounded tunnels that defy expectations of what an animal of its size should be capable of producing. As wood is removed, the bee pushes debris backward and out of the entrance hole, maintaining a clear workspace. This behavior is not simply tidiness. Accumulated debris would dampen vibration, reduce efficiency, and trap moisture. By clearing the tunnel continuously, the bee ensures that each vibration is transmitted directly into solid wood, maximizing progress while preserving the structural integrity of the tunnel walls. The architecture of the tunnel itself reveals the deeper logic behind this behavior. Carpenter bee nests are not random cavities. They follow a consistent design pattern shaped by survival pressures. The entrance is typically round and just wide enough for the bee to pass through, minimizing exposure to predators and parasites. Once inside, the tunnel extends straight inward before making a sharp turn, usually at a right angle, and continuing parallel to the wood surface. This angled layout is not aesthetic. It is defensive. Predators probing from the outside encounter a dead end, unable to see or reach deeper sections where eggs and larvae are stored. Moisture is also managed through this design. Rainwater that enters the opening tends to drip out before reaching the brood chambers, reducing the risk of fungal growth or drowning. Airflow is controlled, maintaining a stable microclimate within the nest that supports larval development. Inside the tunnel, the carpenter bee creates a series of chambers separated by partitions made of chewed wood pulp. Each chamber holds a single egg, provisioned with a carefully measured mass of pollen and nectar. This food reserve must last the developing larva until it pupates, making accurate estimation critical. Too little, and the larva starves. Too much, and the excess attracts mold or parasites. The bee's ability to calibrate these provisions reflects an evolutionary balance between energy investment and offspring survival. The solitary nature of carpenter bees means there is no communal defense. Each nest stands alone, defended only by the adult bee's presence and the architecture itself. This vulnerability has shaped behavior that appears cautious and methodical. Drilling is done gradually, often over several days, with the bee returning repeatedly to the same site. The investment is significant. Once completed, the tunnel may be reused across seasons, either by the original bee or by others, creating a legacy structure embedded in the landscape. This reuse introduces a subtle ecological role. Old carpenter bee tunnels become habitat for other organisms, from spiders to smaller insects seeking shelter. In this way, the bee's construction activity contributes to microhabitat creation, altering the ecological texture of its environment. What began as a personal nesting project becomes part of a broader network of interactions, reinforcing the idea that even solitary behaviors can ripple outward through an ecosystem. Predator pressure remains constant. Birds learn to recognize the sound of drilling and may attempt to extract bees from their tunnels. Woodpeckers, in particular, can tear into bee nests with ease, turning the carpenter bee's careful architecture into a liability. This risk explains why bees often choose sites that are difficult for larger predators to access, such as the undersides of beams or vertical surfaces that limit perching options. The perception of carpenter bees as harmless or even cute arises largely from their calm demeanor around humans and their resemblance to bumblebees. But this perception obscures the reality of their capabilities. The same jaws that carve through hardwood can defend fiercely if threatened. The same vibration that drills tunnels can be used to intimidate rivals or deter intruders. The carpenter bee does not advertise its power. It applies it selectively, in silence. Thermal considerations also influence nesting behavior. Wood exposed to sunlight warms predictably, creating favorable conditions for larval development. The bee's choice of nesting site often reflects an understanding, encoded through instinct, of heat retention and dissipation. A tunnel too exposed may overheat. One too shaded may slow development or increase vulnerability to pathogens. The bee's solution lies in selecting materials and orientations that balance these factors, turning passive environmental features into controlled conditions. Over time, the carpenter bee's activity challenges the notion that intelligence must involve complexity of thought or social coordination. The behavior appears simple, even repetitive, but beneath it lies a finely tuned interaction between anatomy, physics, and environment. The bee does not need to understand wood as a material in the human sense. Its body understands through feedback, vibration, and resistance. Each adjustment refines the process, producing results that look intentional because they are the product of relentless selection. What emerges from this perspective is not a clumsy pollinator chewing holes out of instinct, but a silent construction machine operating with biological tools optimized for a narrow but critical task. The carpenter bee transforms static matter into shelter, converts muscle into vibration, and turns sound into progress. In doing so, it redefines what power looks like at a small scale. Not explosive, not aggressive, but patient, focused, and precise, leaving behind tunnels that testify to a kind of engineering hidden in plain sight. The first pulse arrives before the insect is seen. It rolls through the trees like pressure, not sound alone, but a physical sensation that presses against the ears and chest. In midsummer forests, where heat hangs heavy and the air barely moves, cicada calls do not merely announce presence. They dominate the environment, filling every gap between leaves and branches until silence itself feels unnatural. This is not accidental noise. It is biomechanics weaponized into volume, a biological system designed to overwhelm predators, coordinate reproduction, and reshape the sensory landscape of an entire ecosystem. Cicadas live most of their lives unseen. For years, sometimes more than a decade, they exist underground as nymphs, feeding slowly on xylem fluids from plant roots. This subterranean phase is quiet, hidden, and cautious. But when emergence comes, it is sudden and irreversible. Adults surface en masse, climb vertical structures, shed their skins, and enter a world where their survival window is short and brutally exposed. They do not rely on camouflage or speed. Instead, they rely on sound so intense and so persistent that it becomes protection through saturation. The source of this sound lies not in wings or mouthparts, but in a specialized organ unique among insects. On either side of the cicada's abdomen are tymbals, ribbed membranes reinforced with stiffened regions that act like snapping panels. When powerful abdominal muscles contract, they buckle these membranes inward. When the muscles relax, the membranes snap back into place. Each snap produces a sharp pulse of sound. One pulse is unimpressive. Thousands, fired in rapid sequence, become something else entirely. The mechanics are precise. The tymbals do not vibrate continuously like a drumhead. They collapse and rebound, each movement generating a click that is amplified by the hollow abdominal cavity behind it. This cavity functions as a resonance chamber, tuned to reinforce specific frequencies. The cicada's body is not just producing sound. It is shaping it, filtering it, and projecting it outward with surprising efficiency. The result is a call that can reach volumes comparable to human machinery, despite being produced by an animal small enough to fit in a hand. Volume alone, however, does not explain the effectiveness of cicada sound. Timing is equally critical. Cicadas do not call randomly. Their calls follow species-specific patterns of pulses, pauses, crescendos, and sustained phases. These patterns are not learned. They are encoded in neural circuits that synchronize muscle contractions with extraordinary reliability. A male cicada's call must match a precise temporal structure to be recognized by females of the same species. Deviations are ignored. In dense choruses where multiple species overlap, timing becomes a filter that allows communication without visual confirmation. When thousands of cicadas call simultaneously, individual voices blur into a continuous wall of sound. This chorus is often synchronized, rising and falling in waves that ripple across entire forests. The synchronization is not coordinated through leadership or awareness. It emerges from simple rules. Individuals adjust their timing slightly in response to nearby calls, gradually aligning into collective rhythms. The effect is overwhelming, not just to human observers, but to predators as well. Predators rely on sensory contrast to locate prey. A single insect calling alone is an easy target. Its position can be triangulated, its movement tracked. But in a chorus, contrast disappears. The sound field becomes uniform, directionless. Birds attempting to locate individual cicadas struggle to isolate one signal from the mass. The noise does not repel predators directly. It confuses them. This is protection through sensory overload, a strategy that trades individual stealth for collective saturation. The cicada's vulnerability makes this strategy essential. Adult cicadas are slow, clumsy flyers. Their wings are broad and delicate, optimized more for gliding than rapid maneuvering. Their bodies are soft, their reactions unremarkable. Against birds, mammals, and even insects, they are easy prey. Sound compensates for these weaknesses by shifting the terms of engagement. Instead of avoiding detection, cicadas flood the environment with signals until detection loses meaning. There is an energetic cost to this strategy. Producing sound at such intensity requires sustained muscle activity and elevated metabolic rates. Cicadas meet this demand through timing and physiology. Calling occurs primarily during the warmest parts of the day, when muscle performance is highest and air density favors sound transmission. Thermoregulation becomes a silent partner in acoustic dominance. Sunlight warms the cicada's body, increasing the speed and strength of muscle contractions, which in turn amplifies call volume and consistency. The timing of emergence itself reflects this balance. Periodical cicadas surface in massive numbers after long underground development, overwhelming predators not just acoustically, but numerically. In these events, sound and abundance reinforce each other. Predators eat their fill, but cannot consume enough individuals to impact the population significantly. Sound advertises availability, but numbers ensure survival. The call becomes both an invitation and a shield. Within this cacophony, mating depends on precision. Females do not call loudly. Instead, they respond with subtle wing flicks that produce brief clicks, timed carefully to fall between male pulses. This call and response system operates within fractions of a second. Males adjust their calling patterns based on feedback, refining timing until the exchange locks into a rhythm. In a forest saturated with sound, these micro-interactions persist, invisible to predators, but essential for reproduction. The irony is sharp. The same sound that overwhelms enemies also attracts mates. Loudness increases exposure, but without it, finding a partner in a dense forest would be unlikely. Cicadas resolve this conflict not by choosing one function over the other, but by combining them. The call is not targeted at a single receiver. It is broadcast, indiscriminate, relying on the statistical certainty that some receivers will be female, while predators are left disoriented by the excess. The structure of the call also reflects environmental constraints. Different species occupy different acoustic niches, using frequencies and rhythms that minimize interference. In mixed habitats, one species may call at higher pitches, another at lower, one during midday heat, another toward evening. This partitioning reduces competition for acoustic space allowing multiple species to coexist without drowning each other out entirely. The forest becomes layered not just vertically, but sonically. Cicada sound influences more than mating and predation. It alters the behavior of other animals. Birds adjust foraging patterns. Predatory insects time their activity to quieter intervals. Even plants respond indirectly, as cicada feeding and egg-laying influence branch growth and nutrient cycling. The chorus becomes an environmental factor, as real and consequential as temperature or humidity. From a mechanical perspective, the durability of the timbal system is remarkable. Repeated buckling and snapping could easily cause material fatigue, yet cicadas maintain call performance throughout their brief adult lives. The membranes are reinforced, and damage tolerance is built into the structure. Even partial degradation does not silence the insect completely, ensuring that some signal persists even as wear accumulates. This resilience reflects the all-or-nothing stakes of reproduction. Silence is failure. What emerges from this system is not noise for its own sake, but sound as infrastructure. Cicadas do not merely inhabit their environment. They reshape it acoustically, filling it with information, confusion, and opportunity. Their calls turn forests into resonant chambers, binding individual insects into collective phenomena that operate beyond the scale of any single body. To stand beneath a cicada chorus is to experience biology at volume. The sound presses down, erasing subtlety, demanding attention. Yet beneath this overwhelming exterior lies precision, membranes snapping in microseconds, muscles firing in exact sequences, neural circuits counting time with relentless accuracy. It is a reminder that power in nature does not always appear as force or speed. Sometimes it appears as persistence, repetition, and the courage to be impossibly loud in a world that punishes exposure. The cicada survives not by hiding from the world, but by filling it. Its sound is both alarm and advertisement, shield and signal. In turning vibration into survival, it transforms the air itself into a medium of defense, proving that in evolution, even noise can become a tool when shaped by necessity and time. At the edge of a hedgerow or along the broad surface of a leaf warmed by afternoon sun, the shieldbug appears almost ornamental. Its body is flattened and angular, often patterned in greens, browns, or muted metallic hues that echo the vegetation beneath it. It does not sprint when disturbed. It does not leap or bear spines. Instead, it remains exposed, relying on a strategy that seems passive until the moment it is activated. When pressure arrives, the shieldbug does not grapple or flee. It releases chemistry into the air and lets biology do the rest. This insect occupies a world where close contact usually ends badly. Birds probe leaves with beaks tuned for precision. Small mammals forage with noses sensitive enough to detect hidden insects. Predatory arthropods test anything they can overpower. In this environment, armor alone is insufficient, and speed is unreliable. The shieldbug solves this problem not by avoiding interaction, but by controlling it. Its defense is chemical, immediate, and disproportionately effective, turning the moment of attack into an instant lesson for the predator. The source of this power lies within paired glands embedded in the shieldbug's thorax or abdomen, depending on species. These glands synthesize volatile compounds derived from fatty acids and other metabolic pathways, transforming basic nutritional inputs into complex defensive cocktails. The chemistry varies across species, but the effect is consistent. The compounds are sharp, irritating, and persistent, capable of overwhelming the sensory systems of attackers that rely on smell or taste to evaluate prey. What makes this defense remarkable is not just the toxicity, but the delivery. Shieldbugs do not leak their chemicals indiscriminately. They store them under pressure, releasing them only when threatened. When an attack begins, muscles surrounding the glands contract, forcing the liquid through narrow ducts that terminate in external openings. The result is a directed spray or vapor cloud, expelled with surprising accuracy. This is not passive emission. It is aimed deployment. The aim matters. A diffuse odor drifting from an insect may signal unpalatability, but it leaves room for trial. A focused spray, delivered at close range, removes ambiguity. Predators that approach too closely receive the full force of the chemical directly to sensitive tissues: eyes, mouthparts, antennae. The reaction is immediate. Birds recoil, shaking their heads and wiping their beaks. Insects retreat, grooming frantically to remove residue. Mammals pull back, sneezing or pawing at their faces. The encounter ends without physical struggle, not because the shieldbug has overpowered its attacker, but because it has rewritten the cost of engagement. The chemistry itself is finely tuned. Many shieldbug compounds are not lethal. They are irritating, nauseating, or disorienting. This distinction is critical. A predator that survives an encounter and remembers it becomes a carrier of information. The smell of the compound, even at low concentration, becomes a warning cue. Future encounters may be avoided altogether, reducing the need for repeated chemical expenditure. The defense scales across time, shifting from immediate deterrence to long-term avoidance through learned behavior. This learning effect amplifies the shieldbug's influence beyond its size. A single failed attack can alter a predator's foraging strategy, pushing it toward different prey or habitats. Over time, this shapes local predator-prey dynamics, redistributing pressure across the ecosystem. The shieldbug does not dominate through numbers or aggression. It exerts influence through memory. The volatility of the compounds is essential to this strategy. Once released, they spread rapidly through the air, reaching receptors before physical contact is complete. This early warning disrupts the predator's approach mid-action, often causing hesitation or withdrawal before a bite or grasp is completed. In evolutionary terms, this reduces injury risk for the insect. There is no need to survive a struggle if the struggle never fully begins. The cost of producing these chemicals is not trivial. Synthesizing volatile compounds requires energy and raw materials that could otherwise support growth or reproduction. Shieldbugs balance this cost through controlled release and selective deployment. The glands are refilled gradually, and repeated use without recovery can leave an individual vulnerable. This constraint enforces restraint. The shieldbug does not spray reflexively at every disturbance. It waits until threat thresholds are crossed, calibrating response to risk. The effectiveness of this defense also depends on context. Wind disperses chemicals quickly, reducing concentration. Rain can dilute or wash away residues. Temperature influences volatility, altering how rapidly compounds spread. Shieldbugs adjust behavior accordingly, often becoming more active during conditions that favor chemical persistence. In warm, still air, a spray lingers longer, creating a protective envelope that extends beyond the insect's immediate body. This envelope has consequences for other organisms. Parasitoid wasps, which rely on close contact to lay eggs, are deterred by chemical residues on shieldbug surfaces. Ants, known for overwhelming prey through numbers, are repelled before recruitment can escalate. Even microbial communities on plant surfaces may be influenced indirectly, as chemical residues alter local conditions. The shieldbug's defense radiates outward, shaping interactions at multiple scales. Unlike predators that rely on strength or speed, the shieldbug breaks the unwritten rule of physical confrontation. It wins encounters without wrestling, without pursuit, without visible violence. The conflict resolves through sensation rather than force. This inversion of expectations is precisely why the strategy works. Predators accustomed to evaluating prey based on size or movement miscalculate, approaching too closely before the true cost becomes apparent. The shieldbug's body shape supports this strategy. Its flattened form reduces vulnerable protrusions, making it harder to grasp securely. The broad dorsal surface shields vital organs, buying time for chemical deployment. Even if contact occurs, the insect's structure resists crushing long enough for the spray to take effect. The defense is layered. Physical resistance delaying attack, chemical response ending it. Reproduction introduces another dimension. Shieldbug eggs and nymphs are often clustered, presenting an attractive target for predators. Chemical defenses extend to these stages as well, either through maternal provisioning of compounds or through nymphal glands that activate early in development. The result is continuity of protection across life stages, reinforcing the strategy's evolutionary success. In some species, Chemical signals also play a role in communication. Alarm pheromones released during attack can warn nearby individuals, triggering dispersal or defensive postures. The same compounds that repel predators become information carriers within the species, linking individual survival to group awareness. This dual use blurs the line between defense and communication, revealing chemistry as a versatile medium shaped by multiple selective pressures. From a human perspective, the Shieldbug strategy challenges intuitive notions of power. There is no dramatic chase, no visible weapon. The decisive moment is invisible, carried on molecules rather than motion. Yet the outcome is unambiguous. The predator retreats, the insect remains. The environment records the event not through damage, but through altered behavior. This approach reflects a broader pattern in evolution, where success often comes not from escalation, but from reframing the interaction entirely. By shifting conflict from the physical to the sensory domain, the Shieldbug sidesteps the arms race of claws and jaws. It competes where few others operate, exploiting vulnerabilities in perception rather than structure. To watch a Shieldbug withstand attention from larger animals is to witness confidence rooted in chemistry. It does not need to test its strength. It does not need to flee. It simply waits, knowing that when the moment arrives, a small spray will change everything. The predator will learn, the memory will linger, and the rule that size determines victory will be quietly, efficiently broken. On a cool spring morning, when the ground still carries the memory of winter and shadows stretch longer than warmth, firebugs gather in places that seem oddly specific. South-facing walls, pale stones, the exposed bases of trees, and patches of bare soil become living mosaics of red and black bodies pressed tightly together. From a distance, they look decorative, almost accidental, as if spilled across the landscape. But this clustering is not social comfort, nor coincidence. It is a deliberate negotiation with energy itself, a behavioral solution to the problem of temperature in a world where heat determines everything. Firebugs live at the mercy of external warmth. Like all insects, they are ectothermic, meaning their internal processes depend on environmental heat rather than internal regulation. Movement, digestion, reproduction, and even immune response are all constrained by temperature. Too cold, and muscles stiffen, nerves slow, reactions become unreliable. Too hot, and enzymes destabilize, dehydration accelerates, and survival margins collapse. For firebugs, the difference between inactivity and functionality can be measured in a few degrees, and those degrees are rarely distributed evenly across the environment. This unevenness creates microclimates, small-scale variations in temperature driven by sunlight, surface material, wind exposure, and moisture. A stone warmed by the sun can be dramatically hotter than the surrounding air. A wall that absorbs and re-radiates heat can remain warm long after sunset. Firebugs read these gradients instinctively, positioning themselves with a precision that appears simple but reflects generations of selection. Where they choose to sit determines how much energy they can extract from their surroundings, and energy is the currency of survival. Clustering amplifies this effect. A single firebug basking alone absorbs solar radiation through its body surface, warming slowly. A dense cluster changes the physics of heat exchange. Bodies pressed together reduce exposed surface area relative to volume, slowing heat loss. Each insect becomes both absorber and insulator, contributing to a shared thermal envelope that retains warmth more efficiently than any individual could alone. The cluster behaves like a single organism, not through coordination, but through proximity. Sunlight is the primary driver. Firebugs orient their bodies to maximize exposure, often flattening themselves against warm surfaces to increase contact. Their dark markings absorb radiation efficiently, converting light into heat that penetrates the exoskeleton and raises internal temperature. This warming accelerates metabolic processes, allowing insects to move, feed, and reproduce earlier in the season than competitors less adept at exploiting microclimates. Timing is critical. Early spring is a narrow window where food sources begin to appear, but temperatures remain unpredictable. Firebugs that can activate sooner gain access to resources before competition intensifies. They can mate earlier, lay eggs sooner, and give their offspring a developmental head start. In this context, clustering is not about safety in numbers. It is about time. Whoever warms first moves first. The landscape becomes a patchwork of thermal opportunities. Firebugs abandon shaded areas even if food is present, choosing instead to congregate on sunlit surfaces where energy gain outweighs nutritional availability. This behavior can appear counterintuitive, but it reflects a deeper reality. Without sufficient warmth, food cannot be processed efficiently. Energy intake is meaningless if metabolism remains suppressed. Heat comes first. Everything else follows. As the day progresses and temperatures rise, clusters loosen. Individuals begin to disperse, moving into surrounding vegetation to feed or seek mates. This transition is gradual and responsive, not synchronized. Each insect adjusts based on its own thermal state, peeling away from the group when internal conditions allow. The cluster is temporary infrastructure, assembled when needed and dismantled when its function is fulfilled. This flexibility reveals the true nature of firebug behavior. There is no permanent social structure, no hierarchy, no cooperation in the conventional sense. Yet the outcome mimics cooperation because physics rewards alignment. Firebugs do not need to communicate to cluster. They only need to respond to the same environmental cues. The result is emergent order driven by shared constraints rather than social bonds. Predators observe these clusters too. A dense group of brightly colored insects is conspicuous, and firebugs do not rely on concealment. Their coloration signals chemical defenses that make them unpalatable to many predators. Clustering reinforces this signal. A predator encountering a mass of warning colors receives a stronger sensory message than from a single insect. The cluster becomes a billboard advertising risk, reducing the likelihood of attack. Here, thermal strategy and defense intersect, turning heat-seeking behavior into an additional layer of protection. Microclimates extend beyond sunlight. Wind exposure can strip heat rapidly, even under bright conditions. Firebugs avoid ridgelines and open spaces during cooler periods, favoring sheltered zones where air movement is minimal. Moisture also plays a role. Damp surfaces absorb heat differently and increase conductive heat loss. Dry stone warms faster and stays warm longer, making it preferable basking substrate. Firebugs assess these variables continuously, repositioning themselves with small movements that have large thermal consequences. Reproduction is tightly linked to this thermal ecology. Egg development depends on consistent warmth, and females select oviposition sites that mirror the microclimates they themselves prefer. Soil warmed by sun and protected from wind offers stable conditions for developing eggs. The clustering behavior of adults indirectly maps these optimal zones, guiding reproductive placement through lived experience rather than conscious choice. As seasons shift and temperatures stabilize, clustering behavior diminishes. In summer, when warmth is abundant, firebugs spread out, occupying broader territories. The need for shared heat disappears, replaced by the need to avoid overheating. Shade becomes valuable, and insects adjust posture and location to limit solar exposure. The same sensitivity that once drew them into tight groups now drives dispersion, demonstrating that the behavior is not fixed but context-dependent. This responsiveness highlights an often overlooked truth about survival strategies. Tools do not need to be physical. Firebugs do not evolve thicker shells or faster legs to manage temperature. They evolve behaviors that position them advantageously within existing gradients. By choosing where to be, rather than changing what they solve a complex problem with minimal structural investment. Positioning becomes power. The broader ecosystem reflects these choices. Clusters attract attention from observers, altering human perception of insect activity. They influence predator movement, plant interactions, and even soil temperature in micropatches. The insects themselves are small, but their collective behavior creates measurable changes in the immediate environment. Heat retention, color contrast, and surface occupation all feed back into local conditions. Seen through this lens, firebugs are not passive inhabitants of their habitat. They are active participants in energy flow. They intercept sunlight, store it briefly as warmth, and release it back into the environment through movement and respiration. Their bodies become temporary reservoirs of solar energy, cycling heat through biological systems before it dissipates. The lesson embedded in their behavior is subtle but profound. Survival does not always demand strength or speed. Sometimes it demands placement. Knowing where to stand, when to gather, and when to disperse can be as decisive as any physical weapon. Firebugs turn geography into advantage, sunlight into fuel, and simple proximity into technology. In a world governed by gradients rather than absolutes, they thrive by reading the smallest differences and responding with precision. Their clusters are not accidents of abundance, but expressions of environmental literacy written in living color. Each gathering marks a place where physics and biology briefly align, and where survival is achieved not through force, but through being exactly where the energy is. At dusk, when the forest begins to cool and light drains slowly from the understory, longhorn beetles become more than visible bodies moving across bark and fallen wood. They become extensions of the space around them. Long before a beetle commits to a step or lifts its body into flight, its antennae have already arrived, probing the air, brushing surfaces, and sampling a world that exists just beyond physical contact. These elongated structures, often longer than the beetle's entire body, are not decorative exaggerations. They are sensory instruments, built to translate invisible signals into usable information, allowing the beetle to navigate, avoid danger, and locate opportunity without ever needing to rush. The longhorn beetle's habitat is structurally complex. Dead wood, living trunks, leaf litter, fungi, and tangled vegetation form a three-dimensional maze filled with obstacles and threats. Vision alone is insufficient here. Light levels fluctuate, surfaces block sightlines, and predators remain concealed until the last moment. In this environment, survival favors those who can sense before they touch, who can interpret subtle disturbances in the air and vibrations in solid matter. The longhorn beetle solves this problem not with speed or strength, but with reach. Each antenna is segmented, jointed, and densely packed with sensory receptors. These receptors detect chemical cues, mechanical vibrations, humidity changes, and air movement. Together, they transform the antennae into multi-purpose sensors that extend the beetle's perceptual field far beyond its body. Where the beetle ends physically, its awareness continues, sweeping through space in slow, deliberate arcs. Chemical sensing is perhaps the most critical function. Many longhorn beetles rely on volatile compounds released by stressed or dying trees to locate suitable breeding sites. These chemicals drift through the forest in faint plumes, diluted by wind and absorbed by foliage. The antennae sample these plumes continuously, detecting minute concentrations that would escape less specialized organisms. As the beetle moves, changes in concentration provide directional information, allowing it to follow chemical gradients toward their source. This is not tracking in the dramatic sense of pursuit, but a gradual alignment with invisible flows, a steady correction toward opportunity. Mate location depends on the same principle. Females release pheromones that disperse through the air, forming complex scent landscapes shaped by wind, temperature, and terrain. The long antennae increase the likelihood of intercepting these signals, even when the source is distant. Length matters here not because it increases strength, but because it increases sampling range. With antennae sweeping a wider volume of air, the beetle collects more data points, refining its interpretation of where the signal originates. This process unfolds slowly. The beetle pauses, adjusts its antennae, advances a short distance, and pauses again. Each movement recalibrates the sensory field, updating the internal map. There is no need for haste. Rushing would blur information, overwhelming receptors with conflicting signals. The beetle's measured pace reflects confidence in its senses. When you can feel the world before you touch it, speed becomes optional. Mechanical sensing adds another layer. Antennae detect vibrations transmitted through air and substrate, registering disturbances that signal approaching predators or competitors. A bird landing on a nearby branch sends tremors through the wood. A predatory insect moving through leaf litter creates subtle air displacement. These cues arrive through the antennae before the threat itself becomes visible. The beetle responds by freezing, retreating, or altering course, often avoiding confrontation entirely. This early warning system is especially important given the longhorn beetle's vulnerability. Many species are slow-moving and conspicuous. Their elongated bodies and striking patterns offer little concealment once detected. Rather than relying on last-second escapes, they avoid detection in the first place by interpreting signals that others ignore. The antennae allow the beetle to exist slightly ahead of events, reacting to what is about to happen, rather than what is already happening. Navigation through cluttered environments also benefits from extended reach. As the beetle climbs over bark ridges or navigates branches, antennae touch surfaces ahead, mapping texture and distance. This tactile information guides foot placement, reducing missteps that could lead to falls or exposure. In darkness, antennae become primary guides, replacing vision with touch and vibration. The length of these antennae introduces challenges. They are delicate, exposed, and energetically costly to maintain. Damage can impair sensory input, reducing survival odds. Yet evolution has favored elongation repeatedly across longhorn beetle lineages, suggesting that the benefits outweigh the risks. The beetle compensates through careful movement, protecting its antennae by keeping them elevated or gently curved rather than dragged along rough surfaces. Sexual selection reinforces this trend. In many species, longer antennae signal maturity and genetic quality. Individuals with well-developed antennae demonstrate successful development under environmental pressures, making them attractive mates. This creates feedback, where antenna length becomes both a functional tool and a reproductive signal. The result is extreme elongation in some species, where antennae exceed body length several times over, transforming the beetle into a walking array of sensors. Environmental conditions modulate how antennae are used. In still air, chemical gradients are stable, allowing precise localization. In windy conditions, signals fragment, requiring broader sampling and more frequent pauses. The beetle adjusts accordingly, widening antenna sweeps or changing orientation to compensate. This adaptability reflects neural processing capable of integrating sensory input over time, smoothing noise into meaningful patterns. The antennae also play a role in avoiding unsuitable habitats. Longhorn beetle larvae often develop within specific host plants, relying on precise chemical cues to ensure compatibility. Adults that misinterpret these signals risk laying eggs in environments where larvae cannot survive. Antennae reduce this risk by detecting not just presence, but quality, differentiating between healthy and stressed wood, between species that appear similar but offer different nutritional profiles. Predator interactions illustrate the antennae's value further. Some predators attempt ambush, remaining motionless until prey approaches. The slightest air movement caused by a predator's breathing or posture shift can be detected by sensitive antennae, triggering hesitation or retreat. The beetle does not need to identify the predator visually. It only needs to recognize that the environment has changed in a way that suggests danger. There is a quiet irony in this system. The beetle appears slow and exposed, yet it operates with advanced situational awareness. While faster animals react after danger appears, the longhorn beetle often avoids danger entirely. Its antennae do not grant speed, but foresight. From an ecological perspective, this sensory specialization shapes interactions across the forest. By locating stressed trees efficiently, longhorn beetles contribute to wood decomposition and nutrient cycling. Their larvae accelerate breakdown processes, opening pathways for fungi and other organisms. The antennae, by guiding adults to appropriate sites, indirectly influence forest health and regeneration patterns. The world the longhorn beetle experiences is not primarily visual or auditory. It is a landscape of gradients, vibrations, and chemical traces. The antennae translate this abstract information into decisions, turning air itself into a medium of navigation. What appears to human observers as hesitation is, in fact, analysis. To watch a longhorn beetle move is to witness patience elevated to strategy. Antennae extend, pause, retract, adjust. Each motion gathers data, reducing uncertainty. The beetle advances not because it is brave, but because it is informed. In this way, antennae become more than organs. They become distance itself, compressed into a form the beetle can use. Survival in complex environments does not always belong to the fastest or strongest. Sometimes it belongs to those who can feel what lies ahead. The longhorn beetle's antennae transform the invisible into guidance, allowing it to move deliberately through a world dense with risk and opportunity. In extending its senses outward, the beetle expands its control over space, proving that awareness, when refined enough, can be as powerful as any weapon. At the edge of a tropical forest clearing, a trail appears where none existed before. It is not marked by soil disturbance or broken branches, but by motion itself. A steady stream of leafcutter ants flows along invisible lanes, moving with purpose that seems disproportionate to their size. Some carry fragments of fresh leaves held overhead like sails. Others return unburdened, antennae flicking as they navigate past oncoming traffic. This is not chaos. It is colony physics in action, a system where thousands of tiny bodies coordinate to produce outcomes that rival industrial processes. Leafcutter ants inhabit environments rich in plant material, but hostile to solitary effort. A single ant cannot fell a leaf, transport it far, or process it into usable energy alone. The challenge is not strength but scale. How to convert countless weak actions into sustained, reliable output. Evolution's answer is not a stronger ant but a smarter system. The colony becomes the organism, and individual ants become components within a distributed machine. The trail is the first sign of this transformation. It emerges through repeated use, reinforced by pheromones laid down by workers as they travel. These chemical markers do more than indicate direction. They encode traffic density, route quality, and urgency. Stronger trails attract more ants, increasing throughput. Weaker trails fade, redirecting labor elsewhere. The system adjusts continuously, reallocating effort based on current conditions without any central control. Traffic flows in opposing lanes. Outbound ants, searching for fresh vegetation, move with lighter loads and faster pace. Inbound ants, burdened with leaf fragments many times their own weight, move more slowly and predictably. This separation reduces collisions and congestion, increasing efficiency. When disruptions occur, fallen debris or sudden obstacles, ants reroute locally, updating pheromone signals to reflect new conditions. The trail evolves in real time, responding to friction and resistance like a fluid adjusting to its container. At the cutting site, efficiency becomes mechanical. Leafcutter ants do not tear leaves randomly. They select edges, veins, and textures that minimize resistance. Their mandibles are hardened and precisely shaped, acting like shears rather than jaws. Cutting is rhythmic, driven by muscle contractions synchronized with body rotation. The ant anchors itself, rotates its head, and slices a crescent from the leaf surface with remarkable precision. Each fragment is sized not arbitrarily, but to balance transport efficiency and processing needs back at the nest. Load balancing begins immediately. Larger workers tend to carry larger fragments, while smaller workers take lighter loads or assist in navigation. This differentiation is not rigid, but flexible, responding to availability and demand. If large workers are scarce, smaller ones compensate, increasing their numbers to maintain throughput. The goal is not equality of effort, but stability of output. Transport reveals another layer of physics. Carrying a load overhead raises the ant's center of mass, increasing instability. Wind, uneven ground, and collisions introduce risk. Ants compensate through posture adjustments, leg positioning, and cooperative behavior. Smaller ants often ride atop leaf fragments, acting as stabilizers and guards. Their presence reduces oscillation and deters parasitic flies that attempt to lay eggs on exposed workers. What appears to be inefficiency, an ant not carrying a load, is actually system reinforcement. As the procession moves toward the nest, energy is being converted across scales. Solar energy captured by plants is cut free, transported, and delivered underground. But leafcutter ants do not eat the leaves directly. Instead, they feed a cultivated fungus, carefully maintained in subterranean chambers. The leaves become substrate, not food, and the fungus becomes the true crop. This symbiotic relationship adds another layer to the system, transforming raw material into digestible energy through biological processing. Inside the nest, traffic patterns reverse. Leaf fragments are broken down further, inoculated with fungal material, and arranged to optimize growth. Waste is removed and transported to designated dumps, preventing contamination. Each task is performed by workers specialized through size and behavior, yet adaptable enough to shift roles if conditions change. The colony functions as a factory where inputs, processing, and waste management are spatially organized for maximum efficiency. Scale is the defining rule break here. No individual ant understands the entire operation. No ant directs traffic, assigns roles, or calculates output. Yet the colony achieves feats that seem planned. This emerges from simple rules applied consistently. Follow pheromones, adjust to load, respond to resistance, reinforce success. When multiplied across thousands of workers, these rules produce order. Predators challenge this system constantly. Birds, lizards, and mammals exploit the predictability of trails. Parasitic flies track workers visually and chemically. The ants respond not with brute force, but with modulation. Trails shift, activity timing changes, and guard presence increases when threat levels rise. The colony does not fight every battle. It adapts its flow to minimize loss while maintaining production. Environmental conditions also shape behavior. Rain alters ground friction, forcing route changes. Heat affects worker endurance, shifting activity to cooler periods. Resource quality influences cutting intensity and transport allocation. The colony integrates these variables implicitly through changes in pheromone strength and worker response without any need for centralized awareness. The result is output that defies expectation. Leaves disappear from trees at rates visible to human observers. Entire branches can be stripped, not by force, but by persistence and coordination. What looks like destruction is, in ecological terms, redistribution. Nutrients locked in foliage are moved underground, fueling fungal growth that supports the colony and, indirectly, other organisms that interact with ant waste and soil modification. From a distance, leafcutter ants seem repetitive, even monotonous. Look closer, and the repetition reveals structure. Each movement reinforces pathways, each cut refines technique, each carried fragment contributes to a cumulative result far greater than the sum of its parts. This is industrial output without machinery, logistics without managers, physics without equations. The lesson embedded in this system is not about cooperation as an abstract virtue. It is about alignment. When individual actions are constrained by shared rules and feedback, scale becomes transformative. Tiny bodies do not need to be strong if their efforts add cleanly rather than cancel out. Losses are absorbed, inefficiencies corrected, and output sustained through sheer continuity. In the end, the leafcutter ant colony stands as a reminder that power is not always concentrated. Sometimes it is distributed so finely that it becomes invisible, detectable only through its effects. Trails etched by motion, leaves vanishing into soil, and fungal gardens thriving in darkness all testify to a system where teamwork is not a choice but a physical law. Scale breaks the rules, and in doing so, turns countless small actions into a force that reshapes landscapes. In a meadow stitched together by stems and broad leaves, the ladybug appears almost playful, a small dome of red or orange moving deliberately across green surfaces. It seems harmless, even decorative, a detail easily overlooked amid larger, louder creatures. But this impression dissolves the moment attention shifts from appearance to function. The ladybug is not fragile. It is a tightly integrated survival package, combining chemical defense, armored construction, and controlled flight into a form so compact that its effectiveness is often underestimated. What looks like a toy is, in reality, a miniature tank with wings. The environment the ladybug inhabits is unforgiving. Leaves are feeding grounds not only for herbivores, but for predators that patrol continuously. Birds scan foliage with sharp vision. Spiders wait in ambush. Ants test anything small enough to overpower. For an insect barely larger than a grain of corn, escape through speed alone would be unreliable. The ladybug's solution is layered defense, built not around one tactic, but around several reinforcing systems that activate depending on the nature of the threat. The first layer is visibility. Ladybugs are brightly colored, their red, orange, or yellow bodies marked with bold black spots. This coloration is not camouflage, it is the opposite. It is a warning, an honest signal advertising chemical defense. In ecological terms, this is aposematism, a strategy where prey announce their unprofitability before contact occurs. For predators that have learned the association, the signal is enough. The sight of the color triggers memory, and memory alters behavior. Attack is avoided not because the predator is afraid, but because experience has made the cost clear. The chemistry behind this signal is potent despite the insect's size. When threatened, a ladybug releases defensive compounds from joints in its legs, a process often described as reflex bleeding. The fluid that appears is not blood in the mammalian sense, but hemolymph infused with alkaloids and other bitter substances. These chemicals taste unpleasant and can irritate sensitive tissues. For a bird that attempts to eat a ladybug, the experience is immediate and memorable. The insect may be dropped, wiped from the beak, or regurgitated, often surviving the encounter. What makes this defense effective is its efficiency. The chemicals are not lethal. They do not need to be. Their purpose is deterrence, not destruction. By inducing discomfort rather than death, the ladybug turns predators into unwilling messengers. A bird that learns to avoid ladybugs carries that knowledge forward, sparing countless individuals it will never encounter. The defense scales through learning, reducing the need for repeated chemical release. This chemical layer interacts seamlessly with the ladybug's physical structure. The domed shape of its body is not accidental. Beneath the brightly colored wing covers lies a hardened shell that distributes force across the surface. When pressure is applied, such as a peck or a bite, the rounded form resists localized stress, reducing the likelihood of catastrophic damage. The exoskeleton absorbs impact and redirects it, protecting softer internal tissues. Flight adds another dimension. Ladybugs are not fast flyers compared to aerial predators, but they are capable of sudden takeoff. When disturbed, a ladybug can drop from a leaf and deploy its wings mid-fall, converting gravity into escape. This maneuver complicates predation, especially for attackers that rely on precise strikes. The transition from stillness to flight is abrupt, exploiting surprise rather than speed. Flight also allows ladybugs to reposition rapidly within the landscape. They can move between plants, fields, and even entire habitats in response to changing conditions. This mobility is critical given their diet. Many ladybugs feed on aphids and other soft-bodied insects that occur in patches. When a patch is depleted, remaining nearby offers no benefit. Flight turns scarcity into opportunity, allowing the ladybug to locate new feeding grounds efficiently. The integration of these systems is what makes the ladybug exceptional. Chemical defense alone would be insufficient if predators could crush the insect before experiencing the deterrent. Armor alone would fail if predators could consume the insect repeatedly without consequence. Flight alone would expose the insect to aerial hunters. Together, these traits create redundancy. If one layer fails, another compensates. Consider impact survival. Ladybugs frequently fall, whether pushed by wind, dislodged by predators, or dropping deliberately as an escape tactic. Falling insects risk injury or disorientation. The ladybug's compact body and rigid shell mitigate this risk. Upon impact, the force is spread across the curved surface, reducing damage. The insect can remain still after landing, relying on camouflage against soil or leaf litter, or resume movement quickly if conditions allow. Survival does not require perfect avoidance. It requires resilience. Bright coloration also plays a role beyond warning. In some environments, it increases detectability by humans while remaining effective against natural predators. This has contributed to the ladybug's cultural reputation as harmless or beneficial, which in turn has reduced human persecution. Although not an evolved trait in the strict sense, this interaction illustrates how signaling can have unexpected downstream effects on survival. Predator-prey dynamics around ladybugs reveal the strength of learned avoidance. Naive predators may attempt to consume a ladybug once. Rarely do they attempt it again. Over time, this selective pressure reinforces the success of aposematism. In regions where multiple unpalatable species coexist, mimicry can arise, with palatable insects evolving similar coloration to exploit predator learning. The ladybug becomes part of a larger signaling network that shapes community interactions. Chemical defense also influences invertebrate predators. Ants, which often overwhelm prey through numbers, are deterred by the taste and smell of ladybug compounds. A single ant may probe, recoil, and retreat, preventing recruitment. This prevents escalation, allowing the ladybug to avoid being swarmed. The defense operates at the earliest point of contact, maintaining control over the encounter. The energetic cost of maintaining these systems is balanced by the ladybug's feeding efficiency. Aphids are abundant and nutrient-rich, allowing ladybugs to accumulate resources quickly. This supports not only chemical synthesis, but reproduction and flight. The insect's life strategy is tuned to exploit this abundance while remaining protected against retaliation. Seasonal changes test these adaptations further. In colder months, many ladybugs aggregate in sheltered locations, entering a state of reduced activity. Armor protects them from mechanical damage during crowding. Chemical defenses deter predators that might exploit immobilized insects. Bright coloration is less relevant in these conditions, but remains present, ready for reactivation when activity resumes. The systems persist even when temporarily dormant. The perception of ladybugs as gentle or harmless arises from selective observation. They do not sting, they rarely bite, and they often tolerate human handling. But this tolerance reflects confidence, not weakness. The ladybug does not need to react aggressively to every disturbance because its defenses are already in place. It can afford patience. From an evolutionary perspective, this combination of traits represents convergence toward reliability rather than specialization. The ladybug does not rely on extreme speed, venom, or strength. It relies on consistency. Each layer reinforces the others, reducing the likelihood that any single failure leads to death. This approach produces longevity in a dangerous environment where uncertainty is the rule. The result is an insect that survives encounters disproportionate to its size. Birds drop it. Spiders avoid it. Ants retreat. Falls do not shatter it. Flight removes it from immediate danger. Each escape reinforces the effectiveness of the design. Over time, the ladybug becomes a stable presence in ecosystems where many other insects cycle rapidly through boom and bust. To see a ladybug crawl across a leaf is to witness the quiet confidence of a system that works. There is no hurry, no display of force. The power is embedded, ready, but rarely needed. Bright color speaks first. Chemistry waits behind it. Armor stands as the last line. Wings provide exit. Together, they transform a small insect into a resilient unit capable of withstanding pressures that would crush less integrated designs. In the end, the ladybug's success lies not in dominating its environment, but in refusing to be dominated by it. Through layered defense and efficient mobility, it persists where size alone would predict failure. It is a reminder that in evolution, effectiveness is often found not in exaggeration, but in balance. A tiny body, fortified intelligently, can move through a dangerous world with remarkable security. In the leaf litter of Madagascar's forests, where humidity presses close and space is negotiated rather than given, survival belongs to bodies that can endure compression, confinement, and surprise. Beneath fallen logs and within decaying wood, the Madagascar cockroach moves through a world that offers little room for speed and even less tolerance for fragility. This is an ecosystem defined by pressure, where predators probe into crevices and collapse shelters in search of prey. Here, resilience is not an abstract quality. It is a physical requirement built into anatomy, respiration, and behavior. The Madagascar cockroach does not rely on escape through flight. It does not leap or sprint away from danger. Instead, it accepts contact as inevitable and prepares for it. Its body is broad, flattened, and heavily armored, shaped to slip into spaces that close behind it. When threatened, it presses downward, spreading its weight and anchoring itself against surfaces. crushing force is dispersed across a tough exoskeleton that resists deformation, turning what should be vulnerability into stability. Pressure becomes something to absorb, not avoid. Breathing under these conditions requires a system that does not depend on open airways or continuous airflow. The cockroach's respiration operates through spiracles, small openings along the sides of its body that connect to an internal network of trachea. Oxygen moves directly to tissues through diffusion rather than being transported by blood, allowing the insect to breathe without expanding its chest or drawing in air through a single vulnerable opening. This decentralized system is remarkably tolerant of interruption. If some spiracles are blocked by debris or pressed shut by external force, others remain functional, maintaining gas exchange even under compression. This flexibility becomes critical in tight spaces. When wedged beneath bark or stones, the cockroach can regulate which spiracles remain open, reducing water loss while maintaining oxygen intake. Carbon dioxide accumulates slowly and is released in controlled bursts when conditions allow. This intermittent breathing strategy conserves moisture and energy, supporting survival in humid yet unpredictable environments where airflow is minimal and escape routes are limited. Body flattening enhances this respiratory advantage. The cockroach's segmented abdomen compresses without collapsing vital systems. Internal organs shift rather than rupture, supported by connective tissues evolved to tolerate deformation. Muscles remain functional even when the body is pressed nearly flush with the substrate. This allows the insect to continue moving, slowly but decisively, through spaces that would trap less adaptable bodies. Predators in this environment are persistent. Small mammals, reptiles, and birds probe with snouts, claws, and beaks, attempting to extract hidden prey. When a Madagascar cockroach is discovered, intimidation becomes the next line of defense. The insect responds not by retreating, but by expanding its presence acoustically. It forces air through specialized spiracles, producing a loud hiss that reverberates through confined spaces. This sound is sudden, unexpected, and disproportionate to the insect's size. The hiss serves multiple purposes. It startles predators, interrupting the sequence of attack and creating a moment of hesitation. In darkness or cluttered environments, sound becomes information, and unexpected noise can signal danger or difficulty. The hiss suggests resistance, even if no physical counterattack follows. Many predators prefer easy prey. Anything that complicates the encounter is often abandoned in favor of simpler targets. The mechanics of hissing are directly tied to the cockroach's respiratory system. By controlling airflow through spiracles with muscular valves, the insect generates pressure without exposing vulnerable tissues. This is not a byproduct of breathing, but a deliberate act, a controlled release of air shaped by anatomy. The sound carries through leaf litter and hollow spaces, amplifying its effect beyond the immediate point of contact. Toughness reinforces this auditory display. If a predator persists, the cockroach's exoskeleton resists, crushing forces that would incapacitate other insects. The cuticle is thick and layered, combining rigidity with slight flexibility. It does not shatter under pressure. Instead, it bends and redistributes force, protecting internal structures. Even when grasped, the insect remains intact long enough to exploit any lapse in grip or attention. This durability extends to impacts. Cockroaches often fall as shelters collapse, or predators manipulate debris. The Madagascar cockroach absorbs these impacts with minimal injury, its low center of mass and broad body reducing momentum. Upon landing, it can remain still, conserving energy, or resume movement immediately if conditions permit. Survival does not depend on avoiding all damage, but on withstanding it. Thermoregulation in this environment is subtle. Dense leaf litter buffers temperature fluctuations, and the cockroach's large body mass relative to other insects slows heat exchange. This thermal inertia stabilizes internal conditions, supporting metabolic processes even as external temperatures shift. Combined with humidity tolerance, this allows activity across a wide range of conditions, further reducing vulnerability. Reproduction benefits from these same traits. Eggs and developing young are protected within environments that experience pressure, moisture, and microbial activity. The resilience of adults reflects the demands placed on early life stages. Selection favors bodies that can endure not just predation, but the mechanical challenges of the habitat itself. The Madagascar cockroach's reputation as indestructible among humans stems from these qualities. Attempts to intimidate or crush it often fail, reinforcing the impression of stubborn survival. But this resilience is not defiance. It is adaptation. The insect does not resist change. It accommodates it, bending where needed, sealing off where necessary, and continuing to function under conditions that would overwhelm more specialized designs. Ecologically, this toughness supports a role as a decomposer and nutrient recycler. By thriving in decaying material, the cockroach contributes to the breakdown of organic matter, returning nutrients to the soil. Its ability to persist in harsh microhabitats ensures continuity of this process, even when conditions fluctuate or disturbances occur. Resilience in this context is not dramatic. It is quiet, structural, and persistent. The Madagascar cockroach does not dominate its environment through force or speed. It endures it. Breathing continues under pressure. Movement continues in confinement. Sound emerges when needed. Armor absorbs what cannot be avoided. In a world that tests bodies constantly, resilience becomes the ultimate adaptation. The Madagascar cockroach embodies this principle not through spectacle, but through survival itself. Its superpower is not intimidation or aggression, but the ability to remain functional when everything presses inward. Where others fail under pressure, it persists, proving that in evolution, the capacity to endure can be as powerful as any weapon.